I have created a productivity system that increased my results by 200%. But the truth is, I haven't always been very productive. In fact, I always struggle to focus for longer periods of time. And because of that, I always had this constant feeling of guilt, like I could have done more by the end of the day. So if you want to know how I tackle this problem and how I double my productivity, well, this video is exactly for you. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Before I do anything else, I like to tidy up my workspace. It's very easy for me to have a bunch of stuff laying around my desk because I basically bring a lot of stuff into my office and I just leave it on top of the desk. For me, this is a super important step because I need to feel well in the environment that I'm working in, and I like to have a lot of free space around me. So I only keep within reach any important tools that I need to work, for example like my keyboard and mouse, maybe some books, maybe some blocks of notes, and I keep them within reach, like for example on top of my desk or on some shelf close to me. And this saves me quite a lot of time because otherwise I would have to go and look for them, and sometimes when you go look for something you end up getting distracted by something else. Of course, any other unnecessary things that I don't need right now, I like to put them away, and this includes my mobile phone, which takes me to my next point, which is reducing distractions. When I'm working on a project, 80% of the time I'm not actively writing code. I'm either reading the code, trying to understand what's going on in there, or thinking about solutions for my problems. And of course, this takes time and requires me to be concentrated for longer periods of time. And let me tell you, the average person takes around 20 minutes to get into this focus state, what we usually call the zone. You know, when you are working really well and nothing can stop you. Just think about it. How many times you were doing something, then you got interrupted, and then you don't remember what you were doing. So obviously, to get back to that point, it will take you some time again. So any small distraction will slow down your work. So small distractions like, for example, phone notifications can be easily avoidable. I know sometimes it's quite hard to resist and you are just curious to know what is it about, but it will most likely distract you for several minutes. So because of that, I put my phone in a different room and in silent mode. This way it will be hard for me to keep checking on it, and this way it's completely out of my head. Other things I like to do is, for example, keep my browser tabs to a minimum and close all the other ones that they are not work related, because most of the times I just get lost when I'm trying to find the right one. I also like to close any YouTube videos or podcasts that I might have running on the background. This is because I just find myself stopping doing whatever I'm doing just to focus on the video or on the podcast. And the same applies for me in music in general. I just find myself like singing along and then I just can't focus doing whatever I'm doing. So I actually just prefer to listen to some focus music without any lyrics. There are a lot of great playlists on YouTube and on Spotify as well. If you search for study music or focus music, they don't have any lyrics, so they are very easy to listen to. And I also like to listen to some coffee shop ambience noises or some rainforest sounds or some rain or waves. They are quite enjoyable to listen, and if you never tried it, you should definitely give it a try. Finally, if I'm in an office or anywhere else that there is a lot of background noise, I just like to put my noise cancelling headphones. This way I will not get distracted by all these different noises. And also, if there is anyone coming around near you because they see that you are just working and focused with your headphones on, they will most likely reduce the times that they will approach you. This is when I decide what I'll be working on, and ideally this should be done on the day before so I don't have to worry about it on the next morning. In here I try to be realistic because I know if I pick too many tasks, I will most likely feel stressed and not be able to finish most of them. So because of that, I only select a small number of tasks, and I select the ones that I think that will have a greater impact on my goals, and I need to make sure that the ones that I choose, I will be able to finish them by the end of the day. This step of selecting the most important tasks is super important because most of us have been through this, that sometimes you are just working on some tasks that they are non-critical to your projects or to your goals or whatever, and you just spend too much time on them and then you just don't progress at all. I remember a quote from this book, The 4 Hours Work Week, that always stuck with me, which was saying something like this: being busy doesn't mean that you are being productive. So always remember that even though sometimes you are working a lot and you feel like you are doing a lot of things, maybe you are not working on the most important tasks that you should be doing. So whenever I have some tasks that they don't have any priority in general, I could pick or choose any of them. Before, I used to pick the ones that I didn't like so much first, because I thought that if I push through the boring stuff first, then I have some cool things to look forward to work on. But that wasn't very effective for me, because I remember that it's harder for me to get into this focus state, and then these tasks were just taking too long, so it didn't work at all. So now I actually use a different approach. I like to pick the tasks that I like more first, and this way, because I'm just enjoying doing whatever I'm doing, I'm able to get into this productivity zone faster, I'm able to finish tasks faster, and I'm able to continue this momentum and finish more tasks by the end of the day. When it's time to write some code, one of the things that really helps me speed up my workflow is knowing my code editor well. I personally use Visual Studio Code for all my projects. Although all these tips that I'm going to talk about now, they are related to VS Code, I'm sure that you can apply most of them for any other code editors. A great thing that code editors allows you to do is having the ability to use shortcuts. I've seen many people trying to, for example, save a file. Instead of using the shortcuts on the keyboard like Command S or Control S, they just go to File and then Save. This is just one thing, but there are so many other things that you can also do with your code editor. Some of the things that I enjoy to do the most are, for example, the ability to copy an entire line or delete an entire line. I can also edit multiple lines. And one thing that really helps me sometimes when I'm working on a big project is the ability to search for files based on their name, which helps a lot when you have a lot of different folders and files. But that's not all. You can also have a lot of different extensions. I personally like to use, for example, the bracket pair colorizer that really helps me see where my bracket starts and stops. Or, for example, the Prettier extension that allows me to quickly indent and format my code on save without having to do it manually. And since I work a lot with React and Node.js, another great snippets that I like to use are the ones that you can quickly generate some code snippets, some examples, just so I don't have to write everything from scratch. If you ever stayed up all night studying for a test or working on a project, you definitely know the power of deadlines. And this is a very common problem to a lot of people, which means that if you give yourself too much time, you will definitely take more time than you should to finish a task. So setting deadlines on your tasks can be extremely helpful if you want to stop wasting time. Something that really helps me with this is scheduling a routine. Routines are a powerful way to get results faster, and we all love routines. If you look closely at your regular day, you'll probably notice that you also have some sort of routine that you do automatically without even knowing it. So, for example, having the same breakfast at the same time every day, taking the same route to work, or maybe watching the same TV show every day. So you can actually turn this routine system into your advantage. And there is actually a great book about this topic which I just read this summer, which is called The Atomic Habits. It's a very popular book, you should definitely check it out. So just to give you an example, there are many people who quit their jobs, maybe to try to work for themselves, to become freelancers and so on. But most of them, they fail because they miss the routine that they had when they were working on their 9 to 5. Just remember that when you have a structure for your work, you are much more productive. So to schedule my routine, I like to use Google Calendar, and I can there block some intervals of times for each one of my tasks, and I can visually see how long does it take each one of them. It's also important to schedule some time for breaks and other unplanned activities. Breaks are super important because if you don't take them, you risk getting burned out. And sometimes our brain just needs a bit of rest. How many times we are trying to solve a problem and the solution only comes to us when we are resting and we are not even expecting it. Each one of us have different times of the day when we feel more productive. Some of us feel much more energized, focused, and alert during the morning, and some other people, they just feel much better in the afternoons or in the evenings. It's very important for you to find this time because it's during this period that you are the most productive. This is when you should be working on your most important tasks. That's when you have more energy. If you look back to some previous work that you have done, most likely your top quality work has been done in one of these times when you feel better, when you feel more energized. So just remember this. All the other times that you feel that you can't concentrate so much or you find yourself procrastinating a bit more, you can do some other activities that they don't take so much energy from you, like for example just answering some emails and stuff like that. And that's it for today, guys. Those are my productivity tips. But hey, let me know in the comments if there is any other productivity tips that you would like to share with everyone. I'll definitely look into it as well. And that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.